Here's who shouldn't move to Venice, Florida.
And we're gonna give you reasons for each of the people why they shouldn't. And we're getting started right now.
If you are thinking about moving to Venice, Florida, make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a local realtor here. I'll have my information in the description box below.
After you watch the video, of course, because maybe you wouldn't be a good fit. But if you're kind of like not sure on some of the things that we're gonna talk about, then yeah, get a hold of her. She can maybe help you figure that out. So the first things that the person wants, needs, or has in place that shouldn't move is going to be someone that does not have the necessary budget, at least to get what they want. And we always talk about this on the channel. There's always alternatives. Like maybe you want to be in Venice and you can't quite afford exactly what you want. Are you flexible? You know, maybe you could find a condo or a townhome or a villa that meets most of what your needs are, and you can get a little closer to the area of Venice you want to be, or whatever that looks like. Then it might be doable because prices have gone up. Or are you willing to maybe go Northport or down to Inglewood or something like that?
Well, not only prices have gone up, but there is very low inventory. So with that comes, people who are trying to move down here, they are actually offering over the asking price. So right now, keeping tabs on the market is very, very difficult, just because if a house is listed at a certain price, it doesn't mean that it's going to sell for that price. It can sell and most likely will sell over the asking price. Everything's, it's different. But for a condo, I would say in Venice, you could find one probably a little bit outdated and a small, maybe a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for, I would say, around in the 300,000s.
And this is all dependent on where in Venice.
Yes, you're not gonna get on the water for $300,000. That's just not possible. I have seen some condos for like $700,000, believe it or not, in Venice, across from the beach and on the beach.
I think we did one on the video on the channel of one that was on the island. Mm-hmm. It was under 200,000. It was like 175, I want to say.
Oh yes, I don't think we did a video for that one. It was
okay.
A 1-bedroom. It was very outdated.
And
150,
yeah.
160, very, very small.
But it was on the island.
But it was on the island, yes. And the reason I think why it was so low price is because it needed a lot of updates. It was on the island, but it was off of Highway 41, Miami Trail, and very close to a hospital. So I think that's probably why the price, but that's not very common to see right now in this market.
Yeah, and then houses, off the island.
You can find anything from like 250 and upwards. It's just that, the lowest, like if it's 250, it's probably gonna be a small house, outdated. And I wouldn't say like in a bad neighborhood, just because I feel like Venice doesn't have bad neighborhoods.
Yeah, maybe slightly less desirable, but I wouldn't say we have bad neighborhoods.
But the house might not, it most likely won't be updated, so it might need a lot of work for you to make it whatever home looks like for you.
Yeah, and then on the island, probably about at least 500,000 or up.
For a 2-bath, like small home.
Yeah, and we're talking for this freestanding home.
Yes.
So that's something to consider, budget. If you don't got the budget, or you're not willing to be flexible on that, then yeah, you probably shouldn't move to Venice. Maybe you look at Northport, or again, if you're flexible on the type of house, maybe consider a condo. But if that's just not going to do it for you, then we'll save both of us the time, and it's probably not going to work.
Yeah. Next reason why someone shouldn't move to Venice is if they need a high-paying job. Unfortunately, Venice has a lot of...
Somewhat fortunately. For the people that live here,
yeah,
there's a lot of restaurants.
Restaurants, yes. But yeah, if you need a high-paying job, Venice might not be the area for you, just because we have more like service-related jobs, stores, grocery stores, so they are going to be a little bit lower paying jobs. And even like if you're in education, I actually heard from buyers that I was helping out. She's in education, and if she were to move right now from Wisconsin to Florida, she would actually make $6 less. So that's a big pay cut.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
Yes, so that's something to consider too. If you're moving from another state and you are making good money there, in Florida, you most likely, even if it is, a high-paying job there, it's probably not going to be as good of a pay here.
Yeah, just to give you a quick rundown of kind of what we do have, like you said, service, your restaurants, stores. We have an Amazon warehouse, anything healthcare related. We do have some of that, which could be a little bit better paying job. And then outside of that, there's really not much in Venice. You might, if you're open to driving, maybe to Sarasota, there's a little bit more there, or Tampa, there's more there. Fort Myers, there's definitely more there. And then outside of that, some opportunities maybe if you are a remote worker or have your own online-based business, which is what I have and why helped us kind of make the move down before she was getting the real estate stuff going. And then also I would say anyone that has their own business in general, you can maybe move that down here potentially. It just depends on, what your business is, if the market is here for it and all that.
Just do your research and try to figure out, if that would be a good market or people would actually go to your business here.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that dynamic because we see more and more of this in the Facebook groups of people say they grew up here, now they can't even afford to live here, which is kind of sad to see. So it's something you have to think about. Like, the service industry type jobs might not be able to pay for your mortgage unless you got a pretty big down payment or whatever. You just got to kind of balance your budget out and figure out the dynamic for what it is that you could do for work or would do or would be willing to do or could dream up something new to do. So there's not a lot of those high-paying jobs that are just going to be here, though, that you just plug into and then, okay, cool, now I can pay my mortgage. So there's a little more figuring or logistics involved to make it happen. One other thing to consider that you might not be a good fit for Venice is home size because...
Yes, most of our homes here in Venice are pretty small. Even if you have a 3-bedroom home, it's still going to be pretty small. To kind of give you an idea, even if you do have a 3-bedroom home, it could be as small as like 1,500 square feet. I've seen as little as 1,200 square feet. So like pretty tiny for a family. If it's just the two of you, maybe that's fine, or maybe one kid. But if you have 2 kids, that might be probably too tight.
Yeah, I think 2 is about the limit.
Yes.
You could probably make that work, and it depends.
Yeah, and every person is different too. Like, do you live breezy or...
Merch, link in the description.
Or do you need to have like a lot of stuff to like make you feel happy? Because some people are that way. Some people, are more minimalist and they're happy that way. But some people are like, no, I have to have everything.
Yeah.
And if you are one of those people, you might not be able to fit in a Venice, Florida home.
Yeah. And just not to give you a completely, different idea, there are some 4-bedroom places or 3 in a den or
Yes.
even a 4 in a den, maybe some 5. There's just not very many of them. It's going to be very hard to find them. When we first made the move from the Orlando area here, we really wanted to get like 3 in a den or a 4. And it was just very hard to find anything that fit that criteria. And if it did, it was missing other criteria. So it made it very difficult. And we said, what, can we get flexible? How can we make 2 in a den work or 2 or 3? And that's kind of what we decided to do. So something to think about.
Yeah, so if you are flexible, you could potentially find something in Venice, but also keep in mind that most homes in Venice are going to be a little bit dated, which I hear this a lot from buyers. They expect, like all the bells and whistles, and it's like
super
that's
modern and
not going to be Venice unless, you are either willing to increase your budget or you are willing to go a little bit farther from the city and more like in the outskirts because there's a lot of newer construction there.
Yeah, or do something, to make it look the way you want. I mean, if paint and flooring and stuff like that can get the job done, the desired result, whatever that may look. Next reason you should not move to Venice, Florida is if you would have issues with the general Florida problems that maybe people might have issues with. Your bugs, hot summers, all that kind of stuff, gators, which they're really not a problem. But anyways, we'll link you to a video in the description down below that goes over 10 reasons you might hate Florida. And that goes really in depth into all those different things. But it's stuff I'm sure you've probably heard before if you watched any YouTube videos. And if you haven't, then watch that one.
Watch all of our videos.
All of them.
The following 2 reasons are more of a current market situation. So they don't apply, year round, but this year they might. It's more because of the state of the market, and that is...
if you don't have a lot of cash. And basically, right now, with the way the market is, you either need to have a lot of cash to put down or equity in your previous home. But cash buyers are having a lot easier time getting a home right now just because of the competitive nature of the market. If there's 2 offers and they're for the same amount of money, maybe even a little less, and one's cash, and the slightly higher one is a loan, a conventional loan, or even worse, unfortunately for this market, a VA
FHA.
or FHA loan, like they're going to take the cash offer. It's just kind of the way it is unless there's some substantial reason to take you would know a little bit more about how to make that possible because
Yes.
you've had some success with it with some clients.
Unfortunately, yes, cash is king in this market right now, but I have been able to write up offers for buyers who don't have all cash, but they do have a hefty down payment. And what I mean by that is maybe half. So if the house is valued at $400,000, they have $200,000 that they're going to put as a down payment, and then they're only financing $200,000. And the reason why this is a good offer now is because the selling agent will advise the seller that, you know, even if the house didn't appraise, this is still a good offer because the bank is not going to look at an appraisal gap or of any sort, because you're paying literally half of what the house is worth, if not more. And then another thing that I've had issues with too, unfortunately, and I hate to even say it, but I've had realtors that their first question when I try to schedule a showing for my buyers is, are they cash buyers? And it's like, I even hate even saying that because that shouldn't even be a thing, but it could be that the seller is asking, you know, the realtor, hey, like, make sure you only show my property to cash buyers because I only want to entertain cash offers. So it really, you know, we don't know, but it's a tough market right now for anyone who's financing, even if it is a conventional loan.
Just to give some more detail too, maybe, I don't know what the answer is to this, so I'm going to ask you on camera here. Is that the case for pretty much all places, or would you say it's like a 50-50, you know, that half the houses out there, they would be willing to take a loan or at least let you come see the place, you know? Or what's the, you know, the level?
Well, it is common to ask if they're financing or cash, but for them to like reject you seeing the place is not very common. But I did have a rejection. And this person was actually half financing again and half cash. And they were like, well, you know, go look at the other properties, and if your buyer doesn't find something, then come back to me. And it's like, what? Like, how are you making this decision, first of all? Like, I'd be curious to see if the seller, you know, said, hey, like, don't show my property to anyone who's financing. But I mean, as far as a cash offer versus the financing, it really just depends, because you could present a cash offer and then you have like an inspection period of like 15 days, which in this market, that's crazy. In any market, really, you just want to do about a 10-day inspection period. So you could have a cash offer that, you know, they're asking for a really long inspection period, and they're asking for like a really far closing date. So like far closing date for a cash deal would be a month. So like 30 to 40 days, that would be pretty long, because a cash deal could close in as little as 2 weeks. So when you put 2 weeks compared to like 45 days, that's a lot. So in this instance, a financing could potentially work better if you're willing to do like a shorter inspection period and you're willing to close as soon as you can. So financing 35 to 40 days, it's what, you know, it's pretty normal to close in. But if you do try to do like a 30, 31 day closing and just, you know, like push your lender, because they'll always be like, oh, we can't make it work. They can make it work.
The next type of person that should not move, and again, this is very dependent on the market right now to Venice, Florida, is if you are not ready to make that move quick, as in like putting the offer in quick. Like you see a place, you're going to put in an offer probably that day. I'm saying, right? I don't know.
Yes.
You've had more experience with this because I'm not an actual realtor. I'm just sidekick guy. I'm just sidekick.
You do want to move very, very quickly, and unfortunately I know a lot of buyers are not comfortable doing that. But if you're not comfortable doing that right now, it's not the time for you to buy, just because if you want to think about it for the night or sleep on it and then you'll, you know, put in the offer in the morning, that house is going to be sold. So would you rather have a chance of potentially getting it, because even if you do send in an offer, it doesn't mean that you will get the house, but would you rather have like that, you know, opportunity of sending the offer and reviewing the seller reviewing your offer, or would you rather like go to sleep on it and then the next morning the house is pending? Which I get a lot of my buyers, you know, I tell them like, this house is gonna sell quickly, do you want to put an offer in or not? And then they'll be like, let me think about it, I'll get back to you within, you know, a few hours. They get back to me and it's like, unfortunately, it's already pending. So it's like it's.
Or we'd be on the way to like just look at a place,
Yes.
and that'll happen. I'm like, well, I guess we're not looking at a place anymore.
Yes, yes. Or, you know, yeah, went there, looked at it, buyers fell in love with it. By the time we, you know, get back to our computer, it's sold already. So it is an unfortunate situation, but this is what's happening right now.
And we're going to do an update on the market video again. And I think a lot of people think, you know, they're kind of waiting for things to cool down. I don't think the cash being good and the places selling quick is going to change dramatically over the next year or two. Just with the supply issues and you know, all that. But I also think if you're looking to move to the area, you're probably not a good fit for Venice right now if you're going to be super like picky too. Like I'm not sure about this, and then that keeps you from making a decision quickly, or you're not sure you're going to be happy. Now is just not the time. I don't know when will be. Maybe, you know, a couple years down the road, but not a good fit for you right now, or maybe ever. I don't know. We'll see how the market goes.
Yes, and I think that would just put a lot of stress on you if you're, you know, that kind of person where you maybe overthink a lot, and it's like, yes, I want to move there, but I don't quite like this house, or maybe I could make it work, or, you know, like it's just not the market for you, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time to sit there and think about it and compare, and it's just kind of the way it is right
Yes.
now. The last kind of person who should not move to Venice, Florida is a person who has not done the thing that's in this video right here. Make sure you watch it. It's actually really important. It's not just to try to get you to click to watch. It's really important.
If you're looking to move to the area, make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a realtor here in the Venice, Sarasota area. I'll have my information in the description box below.
Subscribe, turn on all notifications, hit the like button, and
Live
live breezy.